Mad Sports Radio.
Mike Damergis with Bronx Bombers Radio, along with Justin Sherman from Just in Time Baseball, former college player, and currently a youth development baseball coach these days. First off, Justin, how you dealing with the COVID situation and how's camp going?
Mike, thank you so much for having me on. You're fantastic. This is so exciting. Uh, Everything is good. I mean, we're starting to get a little bit of normalcy within the guidelines. Kids are starting to slowly get back together, obviously with a lot of precaution, but obviously weird circumstances. But we're doing the best we can. Things are looking up right now.
I would imagine students and the youth and the young players around the area are excited to get out because this is taking a real mental toll on families and particularly kids not being able to get out in the summertime, go to pools, go to beaches, play little league the way we traditionally used to play it and the way we grew up playing it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I spoke with a parent the other day. He was texting me a video of his son's swing, and he was talking about all these mechanics and what is my son doing? Is he uppercutting? Is he dropping his shoulder? Is he staying through the ball? And I said, you know what? I got to tell you, as much as that is my role to break down a swing and talk about mechanics, etc., let's just be happy and thankful we're on a ball field. You know, the fact that we're playing baseball right now, and I tell this to a lot of parents and a lot of players, just be thankful that you're on the field. Ultimately, it's going to help your play anyway.
Let's talk about that for a second before we get to Aaron Judge, because we're going to break down Aaron Judge's swing and why he's having such a great start to 2020, albeit a few months late. The aspect of playing in a stadium without fans. Now, when you played high school ball, little league ball, even college ball to some extent, there aren't many fans unless you went to Vanderbilt or anything like that. I would imagine as a player, you know, particularly a pitcher, batter, catcher combination, that you don't really get too distracted by the fans if you're good at what you do. It's you're really zoning in. And talk about the mental approach baseball players have to take playing without fans.
So I'm listening to a lot of these players and the interviews, and I think everyone would be lying if they said they didn't have an effect with the fans. I mean, it's clear. There's clearly, even when watching it on TV, there's clearly an effect, and there's something missing in that excitement factor. But I'll tell you what these major leaguers do is such a skill. What they do, what they possess, they have, and I'm sure your listeners have heard this expression, but tunnel vision. I mean, they have the blinders on, and that is a skill. I mean, even when I was playing in college, I had 17 fans there, or 25 fans, which is a lot in the Division III level, I guess you could say. You know, you kind of notice. So I think there's definitely in the major leagues, I would definitely say, if I had to speak for one of these players, definitely an effect, definitely noticeable. And I think it just gives them an extra little juice having the fans there. So it's definitely weird.
It's certainly weird watching the games on television. It's just it's an odd feeling. It doesn't have the same juice, and it'll be interesting to see how football deals with it. I like the way basketball, they actually have the video sections of the fan
Awesome.
stands for the video, so I like that aspect. And if I'm the Yankees, when the Red Sox come to town, I'm putting Babe Ruth, Bucky Dent, Bill Buckner, and Aaron Boone behind home plate for when they play the Red Sox.
I love it. Aaron Boone. I remember that game vividly. Absolutely. It's you know what, they're doing the best they can. I mean, again, like I said, even in Little League, the fact that we're playing baseball during this pandemic is a blessing in itself.
Well, a guy who's off to a hot start for the New York Yankees is Aaron Judge, with 7 home runs so far. In the past, Justin, I've been critical of Judge. He couldn't stay away from the low stuff, the low off-speed stuff around the knees. Umpires would call it a strike, even if it was an inch or two below the knees. And this year, what we're seeing is a lot of pitchers are still going upstairs on Judge, which I'm kind of surprised they're doing, to see them actually going upstairs on the big guy, like here.
Yeah, I mean, if you see here in this video with Judge, with a lot of great Major League Baseball players, the great ones, as simple as this sounds, Mike, they just capitalize. They're better at capitalizing on mistakes. And you see here in this video, I mean, that fastball was supposed to be middle in, if I had to guess, and it kind of just rose in. and Judge just absolutely pulverized that ball. I mean,
You saw the catcher there. He wanted the ball more in the center of the plate, and he got it up.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were to ask that pitcher if he wanted to throw that ball right down the middle to Aaron Judge with 2 runners on, I would say the answer is no. He was trying to get in and tie him up. And that pitch pretty much just ran in the middle of the strike zone. He completely pulverized that baseball. So it's easier said than done. But someone like Judge or Trout, obviously more specifically Judge, if you see here in these videos, he's just capitalizing on mistakes, because even in the major leagues, pitchers make mistakes and don't hit their spots. So the great ones capitalize on mistakes, and that's what Judge is doing. He's just not missing mistakes.
And here, instead of turning on the ball, he goes inside out, taking advantage of the short porch in Yankee Stadium. So he has that ability to do that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the luxury of Yankee Stadium. If you have that middle to right center field approach and you're trying to work inside the ball, you're almost going to mistakenly hit that ball over the right field wall. So that's a great example here in this video here. And we miss seeing those fans, those beautiful fans.
Yeah, and there he turns on one right inside. So there. I mean, look where the pitcher's throwing that though. You're a big league pitcher here. You can't be leaving that off the heart of the plate with Judge.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's so hard to get that barrel, especially with his size and his plate coverage. If you see here with Aaron Judge, is he has so much barrel direction, meaning his barrel covers that strike zone longer and further than most major league hitters. So he can basically now hit any pitch in the zone, not just.
Okay, when you say barrel direction, you mean up and down, left and right kind of thing. When you say barrel,
Correct. So basically, like you said, and that was a great analysis, is he was missing a lot of the low pitches, or frankly, just swinging at bad pitches. The last 2-3 years, I mean, in 2017, you saw he had an unbelievable season. Then he's just been riddled with injury. He really worked on, and I listened to a couple interviews with him and the Yankee hitting coaches. He really got more disciplined. If you notice here, a lot of these swings that he's taking, he's very disciplined in the strike zone. And I think and I tell this to youth players, discipline is the separation. And on top of hitting mistakes. So he's just clicking on both cylinders. Both are working.
One guy who's not clicking has been driving me nuts. He improved on his catching last year with Gary Sanchez, but boy, I mean, watching him it's frustrating to watch him and just continually miss. And he has that hitch in his step that just seems to set him off a little bit. And he is struggling, and he is a streaky hitter. And I'm just wondering, how much longer can the Yankees go with him? Because when you look at the Yankees, what they're built for, they've got guys that it's feast or famine. And outside of LeMahieu and Gardner, they don't have guys that are what they were in the 90s where they could find different ways to win. It's too much a feast or famine. And to be honest with you, even with Cole, I don't see this team winning a World Series unless they learn how to play some small ball.
Yes, I agree. And again, this is a weird circumstance due to the COVID. This is definitely more of a sprint. I mean, this is a sprint. It's not a marathon. 60 games is a sprint as opposed to 162. So I totally agree. And I think it's more of a matter of just staying within their approach and not trying to do so much. I think Gary lately has been trying to get quote unquote too big. Whereas you see Judge is kind of, even though he's pulling the baseball, and that's something we could talk about further, you can kind of tell his zone is middle of the field and reacting inside. Whereas Gary Sanchez is kind of thinking pull and pushing. He's kind of pulling off the ball a little bit. I'd like to see Gary, if I were to talk to him, if he were to get have my attention maybe somehow one day. I like him to think dead center to right and then react inside as opposed to trying to pull, if that makes sense. I think he's got to simplify his approach a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just frustrating watching the Yankees. It's too many guys with the same big holes in their swing. Him, Sanchez, Judge, Stanton, Voit, a lot of holes in their swings, and it's just driving me crazy. We're a guy that watched in the '90s guys that could win in so many different fashions. Well, he's Justin Sherman for Just in Time Baseball, a youth development baseball coach right here in New York. So if your kids are looking for some coaching, some activities, Justin can break it down for you, and he'll continue to work with me through the baseball season and into the playoffs, analyzing the Yankees and what's going on with them as they try and march toward for their first World Championship since 2009. 2009. It's been a long time.
In Yankee land, it has. In Yankee land, it has. It's crazy to say.
All right, Justin. Thank you so much for a few minutes here breaking down Aaron Judge.
Thanks for having me always. Thank you so much.